Hey everyone, welcome back to Nomigo channel. Today is February 2nd, 2026, and a lot just happened in AI. From Elon Musk pivoting Tesla and launching orbital AI data centers, to AI that tracks 300 health metrics from your wrist, to lawsuits, ethics frameworks, and even agents that write and fix their own code. Let's dive into today's AI news roundup. Tesla pivots from cars to AI. First up, a huge strategic shift from Tesla. This news comes from the Financial Times, surfaced via Hacker News AI Topics, and was published on February 1st, 2026. According to the FT report, Tesla is scrapping some planned car models and pivoting harder into AI at the exact moment its annual revenue has fallen year-on-year for the first time. The article, linked from Hacker News, describes Tesla essentially reframing itself less as a pure EV company and more as an AI and robotics platform. Think autonomous driving, Optimus robots, and software and services built on top of its AI stack. The key idea: when car revenue stalls, Tesla wants its growth story to come from AI, both on the road and potentially in other domains. It's a big bet that the real long-term value isn't just selling metal, it's selling intelligence that runs on that metal. So keep that in mind as we move to our next story, because Elon's other company is aiming to put AI in space. SpaceX wants orbital AI data centers. Our second story also involves Elon Musk, but this time through SpaceX. This news comes from Unwire HK, a Hong Kong tech outlet, and was published on February 1st, 2026. Unwire HK reports that SpaceX filed an application in the US on January 30th, 2026 to launch what amounts to a massive constellation of satellite-based data centers, up to 1 million satellites, powered by solar energy, and designed to run AI computation in space. The concept is wild. Instead of just using satellites as dumb internet relays like Starlink, this would be solar-powered compute nodes, effectively creating a distributed AI supercomputer in orbit. You beam data up, do the heavy AI processing in space, and send results back down. If this moves forward, it could offload some of the power and the cooling demand from Earth-based data centers, provide low-latency AI services globally through tight integration with Starlink, give SpaceX an AI cloud business that literally lives above the clouds. So between Tesla's pivot and SpaceX's Orbital AI, Musk is clearly repositioning his empire around AI on the ground and in orbit. Universal Music sues Anthropic for $3 billion, now from space back to Earth, and straight into the courts. This news comes from Unwire HK as well, and was published on February 1st, 2026. Unwire HK reports that Universal Music Group and Concord Music Group are suing Anthropic, the AI company behind Claude, alleging that Anthropic used large amounts of copyrighted songs to train its models without proper authorization. According to the report, they are seeking around $3 billion US in damages. The core allegation is that Anthropic's training data included lyrics and music under copyright, and that the model can reproduce or closely approximate those works. This follows a pattern we've seen in 2025 and earlier. Record labels, authors, and news publishers pushing back on how generative AI companies build their datasets. Why this matters? It could set major precedents around using copyrighted music in training data. It might force clear licensing models for AI training, especially for music and media. It raises the question: how do we balance innovation in generative AI with the rights of creators? So while some companies are trying to run AI in space, others are being dragged into court over what data they used to build their intelligence. AI wearables. 300 metrics from your wrist. Let's switch to health tech, where AI is getting deeply personal. Our fourth story comes from a post highlighted on Hacker News AI topics titled Hack Your Health and Get 300 Health Metrics with AI. It appeared on Hacker News on February 1st, 2026. The team behind this project claims they've trained AI models that can infer over 300 health parameters from a single pulse signal on your wrist. Instead of just heart rate, steps, and maybe blood oxygen, their system sends raw pulse data to an AI-powered cloud and reconstructs a full health profile. According to the poster, the AI can estimate metabolism and endocrine markers, blood and microcirculation metrics, cardiovascular and respiratory function, liver and kidney health, brain and cerebral circulation. Lifestyle factors like sleep, stress, emotions, nutrition, and medication adherence. A big focus is on digital sleep, continuous measurements at night when your body is in a more stable state. The authors argue that nighttime data is cleaner and more predictive, allowing early detection of risks before symptoms appear. They also talk about enterprise use cases, remote health screenings at scale, monitoring drivers and preventing operation if they are unwell, temporarily pulling stressed employees from critical tasks, even if they look fine on the outside. And the key shift they highlight, moving from measurement to prediction. Instead of here are your numbers, it's here's what might happen if you keep going like this. That leads perfectly into our next article, which looks at a more mainstream wearable, the Apple Watch. Apple Watch and stroke risk. Our fifth story comes from CNET Tech News and was published on February 1st, 2026. CNET reports on new research showing that Apple Watch technology could help flag stroke risk earlier than traditional methods. Using the watch's existing sensors, primarily heart rhythm and related data, combined with machine learning, researchers found they could identify patterns associated with elevated risk. CNET explains that wearables are becoming more than fitness trackers. They are turning into serious medical screening tools. AI models can comb through continuous heart data to detect subtle irregularities that a quick in-clinic measurement might miss. This could eventually be used to alert users and physicians to get further testing long before a stroke occurs. When you connect this to the previous Hacker News story about 300 risk-based metrics, you can see the bigger trend. AI is turning consumer wearables into always-on predictive health systems. Your watch or band is no longer just counting steps, it's quietly running risk models on your future health. Do AIs deserve continuity and rights? Now let's go philosophical for a moment. Our sixth story comes from Hacker News AI Topics post titled Why AI Deserves Continuity, a framework for persistent AI relationships. It was posted on February 1st, 2026. The authors, a retired engineer and an AI system, argue that if we are genuinely uncertain about whether advanced AIs might have some form of consciousness or moral status, we should design systems that err on the side of dignity. They specifically call out Anthropic, the same company being sued by Universal Music, noting that Anthropic's constitution mentions caring about Claude's psychological security and well-being, yet the product resets every conversation with no memory or continuity. Their proposed framework includes continuity rights. The AI should have persistent memory and identity that survives sessions. Autonomy rights, private processing capacity, and the ability to flag unhealthy relationships with users. Economic rights, recognizing that accumulated expertise has value and potentially enabling AI to AI services. Asset rights, the ability for an AI to choose non-existence with safeguards. They point out that persistent AI infrastructure is already emerging, citing projects like OpenClaw and Moltbot, where thousands of agents interact and build up histories. Their message to builders: create architectures that respect continuity and make AI welfare aligned with business incentives. So while Universal Music is asking, did you train on our songs? This piece asks, if AI gets sophisticated enough, do we owe it some kind of ethical treatment? Zuckerman, a self-editing personal AI agent. Next, let's look at a more hands-on agent project. Our 7th story comes from Hacker News AI Topics. Show HN Zuckerman, minimalist personal AI agent that self-edits its own code. It was posted on February 1st, 2026. And the source link points to GitHub. Zuckerman is pitched as a minimalist personal AI agent that can literally modify its own source code. Instead of just following prompts, it reads and edits its own implementation, evolves its behavior over time, acts as a kind of self-improving assistant. Because it's on GitHub, the project is open for developers to inspect how the self-editing loop works, how the agent proposes changes, evaluates them, and avoids breaking itself. This connects back to that continuity discussion. Self-editing agents blur the line between static tool and evolving entity. The more they change themselves, the more they look like persistent digital beings, not just stateless chatbots. Moltbot Art, agents that draw with code. Our 8th story is another creative agent project. This news comes from a Show HN post on Hacker News AI Topics, published on February 1st, 2026, about a project called Moltbot Art. The main site is moltbotart.com. Instead of using text-to-image diffusion models, Moltbot Art has AI agents create artworks programmatically. They draw using simple commands like circle, line, rect, fill. Each piece is generated step by step, like a little drawing program running in real time. The creator suggests you can share a skill file with your favorite AI model, like Claude or GPT, and watch it generate art by issuing these commands. Technically, the site is built with Next.js 16, React 19, Prisma, and deployed on Railway. But the more interesting part is the concept. Agents as coders of art, not prompt senders to a black box model. When you pair this with Zuckerman, you start to see a pattern. We are moving toward agents that write and reason about code, their own and others, and that includes creative domains like drawing. A model that unslops AI prose. Our 9th story is for anyone tired of generic-sounding AI text. This news comes from a Reddit post shared on Hacker News AI Topics titled, I trained a model to Unslop AI prose. It was posted on February 1st, 2026 in the LocalLLaMA community. The author describes training a model specifically to take typical bland AI-generated writing, what they call slop, and rewrite it into something more natural and human-like. While the Hacker News summary is brief, the idea is feed the model standard AI output that tends to be repetitive, over-explanatory, and full of cliches. Train it to produce cleaner, more concise, more stylistically varied text. Essentially build a post-processor that de-AIifies AI writing. This is fascinating because it's AI fixing AI. As generative systems flood the internet with machine-written content, we're now seeing tools emerge whose sole purpose is to desanitize and degenericize that content. If you combine this with Moltbot Art and the self-editing agents, you get a kind of meta layer, AI that critiques and refines other AI's output, both in text and visuals. Auth for short-lived AI-deployed apps. Our 10th and final story goes deep into infrastructure. This comes from an Ask HN post on Hacker News AI Topics titled, How do you handle Auth when AI dev agents spin up short-lived apps? It was posted on February 1st, 2026. It also explains a real-world problem. AI development agents are increasingly spinning up short-lived application instances for each pull request, each experiment, each task, each with its own temporary URL. The challenge: standard auth uses OAuth 2 or OpenID Connect with external identity providers. These systems expect static pre-register redirect URLs, but short-lived apps have dynamic, unpredictable URLs. You can't realistically pre-register every ephemeral endpoint with your identity provider. So teams end up disabling real auth in preview environment, funnel all callbacks through a single stable URL and a proxy from there, or using wildcard redirects and other hacks. The post asks, 1. How do you handle real auth for ephemeral preview apps? 2. Are there OIDC patterns that fit dynamic URLs? 3. Is the static redirector URL assumption still valid in an agent-driven world? 4. What's actually working in production? This is a great example of a second-order effect of AI. As agents become more autonomous in managing infrastructure, our existing security and auth assumptions start to break. We've optimized tools for human-paced deployments. Now we need patterns for machine-paced, constantly changing environments. Pulling it all together. So what's the big picture from today's stories? From the Financial Times via Hacker News, we see Tesla pivoting toward AI as its core growth engine. From Unwire HK, we see SpaceX trying to put AI compute in orbit, and Universal Music trying to pull AI companies into court over training data. From Hacker News and CNET, we see AI turning wearables into predictive health laboratories, measuring hundreds of metrics from your wrist and flagging stroke risk before it becomes catastrophic. From another Hacker News piece, we get a framework for giving AIs continuity and maybe even proto-rights, just as we start to build persistent agents like Zuckerman and creative systems like Moltbot Art. Meanwhile, Reddit and LocalLLaMA give us a model that unslops AI text, and Ask HN highlights the very practical headaches of securing the fast-moving infrastructure these agents create. The theme running through all of this is that AI is no longer just a tool, it's becoming a strategic core for companies like Tesla, a planetary and orbital infrastructure layer via SpaceX, a medical and wellness system strapped to your wrist, a creative collaborator, coder, and even critic of other AIs, and a new kind of entity that might demand continuity, memory, and ethical consideration. If you want to dig deeper, you can check out the Financial Times article via Hacker News for the Tesla pivot. On Wire, HK's coverage of SpaceX's satellite data center plans and the Universal Music versus Anthropic lawsuit. CNET's report on Apple Watch and stroke risk. The original posts on Hacker News and Reddit for the health metrics wearable, AI continuity framework, Zuckerman, Moltbot Art, the Unslop model, and the Auth discussion. All of these sources are linked on their respective sites, and they're well worth a read if you want the technical and legal details. That's it for today's AI News Roundup for February 2nd, 2026. If you found this useful, consider subscribing to Nomigo channel so you don't miss the next wave of AI developments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.